and most basic level. What is going on there that can be repeated as a musical grammar later in another piece or in your own improvisation. So to be sure that your musical analysis makes sense, see if you can improvise something with similar aspects later. Okay. So, hello, people. I am into Mozart. As you know, it's the best composer to hear in the spring, and I am so uh, like under the effect of his flute quartets. However, I will going to analyze prima vista an adagio that caught my attention because of this. If you know a little bit of the basics of classic music, you know what I'm talking about. This will probably remind you of this. So it's impossible not to open this piece of Mozart after knowing this relationship. So basically, this is the famous Tristan accord by Wagner. So one of the most studied chords ever. In my opinion, maybe overrated, but this is a subject for another video. And here you have Mozart adagio in B minor. So I heard this yesterday. I was walking here in Salzburg, here in Mozart, of course, and I just caught with my ears this. I just heard this and I felt like, so it was an interpretation by the Alfred Brendel. And then it was impossible not to open this music. And now I felt this is a very nice piece to take a look, prima vista. And of course, the main difference between the chord that Mozart used here. I didn't did the download. Wait, I will open in my preview in my PDF reader. So here, then I can do some annotations. So now I have here. So it's impossible to not pay attention to this chord. If you are good in ear training, maybe you recognize this chord already, and this is the principal thing that you should ask yourself if you recognize this chord just by hearing. Okay. This is because this is a very I think it's a very important and basic thing. So it's the diminished seventh chord. Okay. So the moment you hear this, you should be able to recognize, and later you analyze where in which degree it is. Then you can observe the complications about this chord, which is the situation that is in front of you. However, I have to make clear that this is not the Tristan chord. So the Tristan chord where are you? Here is the Tristan chord. So the Tristan chord I will not go in all the complications that people speak about this, but for our purpose, if you just hear the chord, the Tristan chord, it is a very similar chord, but with one tone that is altered. Okay, I mean, if we do a comparison with what we are hearing now with Mozart, we hear this. And with Wagner, we hear this. Okay, Mozart, Wagner. Mozart, Wagner. Mozart, Wagner. Okay. This is actually very interesting. The other thing that is very interesting that we have the gesture that is similar. So this is still more important for me. With the Mozart Adagio, we have this. It's not the, of course the same melody, but you have this fundamental characteristic of the lip of a sixth, where you go to this chord that is based on tritones. Okay, that is they are basically extensions of the dominant chord, the dominant seventh chord. Okay, this is one way to see this here, and it is dominant, not in a strict sense, but in the sense of secondary dominant, because okay, this chord leads to the dominant of B minor. Okay, so basically this diminished seventh chord here has still a dominant function, but especially as a secondary or artificial dominant. It's also called artificial dominant, or it's also called predominant. So or predominant in English. So we have this leap here, and with Wagner we have also a minor sixth leap. But the difference we have here, the pacing note, and with Mozart we have the so-called anticipation. Okay, so this is called anticipation. And so on. So so the gesture is the same. This is the important thing to understand. I am quite sure that people wrote about this, but to not be overly proud, but I have to be. I just caught this just by hearing, and I know that the Tristan chord is that people explain some analogies and similarities with the previous literature. Okay, so with Beethoven and Mozart and Bach, etc. But I don't know if they say something precisely about this adagio, but certainly people people observe this similarity. And why is this similarity important for me? Because in my opinion, the Tristan chord is it's not that complicated thing. It's a very special, important chord, because of the the faults that it provoked. But for me, it's really nothing more than really this the diminished chord with the sixth chromatically altered, okay, or this chord or the dominant second chord with these tones altered, okay, and then behave like really chromatic alterations. And what is beautiful is that you have this note that goes down, but this is also something not absolutely uncommon. Okay, when you have true chromatic alterations in a chord that they just go in contrary motion. So so in my view of the things, Wagner was certainly aware of this adagio by Mozart, and maybe so we have to research. Maybe this gesture is way more common than we think, because we are here in this time, so 1788, and everything that was done in this time of Haydn, Mozart, it was done based on what is decent to do, what is so what is sittlich. I don't know how it's called in English, but you do what is morally expected to do, okay, to be done. And with the music, it was also similar. You have a lot of situations where rules are broken, or you have unexpected things. But even these unexpected things, they were part of this ethos of the classical period. Do you understand? So the way of being, the moral modus operandi of the people of the court, okay. So the surprise and the bold moment, the moment of breaking the rules, they were still integrated in the so-called gallant lifestyle, okay. So this mixture, this mix between being a person of the court and a person that is a bourgeois. This means a citizen that has already his autonomy due to money and such things. But even from the very aristocratic point of view, also the idea of going beyond the rule sometimes, if needed, it's not absolutely um, strange. Okay, and you find the fundaments for this also in some philosophers who will say to you that you have to do the right thing at the right time. That this is the most important thing above the rule. So um, so everything that these composers composed, they had to do with a certain um, pattern of conduct, moral pattern of conduct. So this means that a lot of things that you see in Mozart, um, without any disrespect for the geniality of Mozart, a lot of things that you see here, they come from patterns, from musical from a musical morale. Okay, and the same is true, very probably true for this kind of gesture. Okay, this kind of figure. Okay, this is a little bit hard to define what I mean with figure here, because we have to take into account also the chord and the whole combination between intervals and chord. Okay, so we can also talk about scheme. This is a word that has become important in music theory the last time. So it's with the concept of scheme, you mix you mix more than one musical parameter together in a kind of archetypus. I don't know how is how is in English. So archetype, or I write in so Latin or German, but I think you get the idea. So uh, I want to change the color. Um, so more than one musical parameter together. I want to the how it's called the background. I think he doesn't allow me to do the background for it is easier to. Okay, we have to do this way. Um, so musical parameter. For example, melody is a musical parameter. Rhythms is another one. Okay, harmony, so verticality. Um, Everything that you can measure is a musical parameter. So that's why the name parameter. And when you have a situation of some kind of event that comes together in more than one musical parameter, like a certain melody with a certain chord, okay, then you can speak about a scheme if this is repeated a lot in more than one piece of music. Or you can speak about typus. Actually, typus is um, it's an older um, word, and it's related to the rhetoric theory of musical figures. Okay, so so this is important for we understand that um, this chord of Tristan here, the Tristan chord, it's very related to, in my opinion, to a musical tradition that is here commented, do you understand, and quoted. And the beauty of this is that the Tristan chord itself is also the starter of a new musical tradition, also of other quotes, do you understand, of new um, of there this chord got quoted in many compositions. For example, by the Debussy, by the Zegulliwood's Cakewalk, or in the Lyric Suite by Albanberg, and so on. Okay, and I think because it was quoted at the end of the Lyric Suite by Albanberg, so this chord got this fame of being an atonal chord or something like this. But for me, it's not an atonal chord. It's the chord of the so-called Erweiterung der Tonalität. So this means the extension of the tonality. Okay. So the idea of breaking tonality. It's more about breaking tonality than being outside of tonality. Okay. So here we have a very important starter for this piece of Mozart. I will leave the interrogation about how strong is the influence of this on Wagner. Maybe there are still better examples, because if you play like this, it's another rhythm. Do you understand? It's not exactly the same unless you play very like in a Wagnerian way. Let's put the strings here. Let's see. So let's see with the strings. It can be still the so it's very similar. You have also this movement of something incomplete. Okay, that is what we have with the Wagner. Incomplete. Incomplete. So intensification of and so on. So the it's you have very important key moments, okay, that has with the same character of something incomplete and something like idyllic and lost to do. Okay, so something is lost, something is uh, you have this feeling of frustration and so on. So these are the key elements that you find to relate both examples. Okay. um, so this was about the analogy between this adagio and the Tristan chord. Now, a second thing that I would like to highlight that is easier to understand, but it's a kind of a bonus, is how um, how 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 important is this mean of this technique of expression by Mozart, this melodic technique of expression, um, using these appoggiaturas, so these non so-called non chord uh, tones. Okay, but I would rather call appoggiatura, because there is the appoggiare, so there is this act of going into the beat, but in the with the dissonance. So here, for example, dissonance. Okay. Okay, so this is a sixth chord, but you have the ninth of the chord as a dissonance. Okay, so ninth, eighth, then 6, 5. So this is a F sharp major, then B minor again. So 4, 3. Okay, and how expressive is this? Okay, and you can go on like this. In this case, it's harder to explain, but although this is a F sharp major chord, actually this is the appoggiatura to E, okay, to the diminished chord, and only in the context you can analyze like this, because if you are doing this pattern already, okay, so you start to hear this note as a dissonance, even if it is not technically dissonant note. Okay, so this is why a teacher of Liszt, the Reiche, a teacher of Liszt and Berlioz and so on, and also not Dvorak, but Berlioz, Liszt, César Franck. Okay, he speaks about not so you have the necessary notes. So, for example, in C major, the necessary notes or integrated notes. So they are so T, E, and G. Okay, and you have the non-integrated notes. Okay, he doesn't speak necessarily about dissonance. Okay, because if your main chord is F major and you have this note is not a dissonant, okay, but behaves like a non-integrated note. Okay, so you have to observe the context. Okay, so this is not exactly like just the inversion of the G, the D minor chord. Okay, so you have to observe the whole musical event that is going on, and how we feel this. So this is what is the task of music theory, to describe this narrow relationship between what is going on in the score, in the music, and how we understand this as the audience. Okay, as an educated audience. Okay, so not as an ignorant audience, but also not as a speculative audience, like mathematicians, or, do you understand, like you don't want to be so speculative with the music theory when you are describing the a musical artwork in this first and most basic level. What is going on there that can be repeated as a musical grammar later in another piece or in your own improvisation. So to be sure that your musical analysis makes sense, see if you can improvise something with similar aspects later. Okay. And so on. Okay, so test if you can repeat on piano those things that you are analyzing. Okay, so these appoggiaturas, I can repeat them in a similar way. And so on. Okay, so I can integrate this in a new creation. And also the first the start, I can do like. Okay, so I can try something similar with these concepts that we learned from this analysis. And this is the main idea of studying a musical artwork. And of course I could do like for go forever. You see, we are just in 2 bars, and we have 33 minutes. Maybe I come later, and I just analyze more the chords that are going on. So I can just recommend you to hear this. And also we are in spring mood, so you have to hear this. Let me show. So Mozart flute quartet, this is so awesome. It's awesome. So this is my recommendation, absolutely. If you are in Europe, or I don't know, in some place where you have spring, I think this is the soundtrack of the spring. So so I hope I gave to you some interesting ideas about studying musical artworks, about Mozart, also the importance of Mozart, the how some composers that are revolutionary, and some revolutionary chords, or musical moments, even these moments, they have a root in another musical tradition, or sometimes in another precise musical work. But this doesn't speak against the originality in importance of the new and revolutionary chord, or compositional style. So everything that happens here, you don't lose any value. The Tristan chord does not lose any value, even if this whole moment here is a copy of this. Okay, I don't know, so you have to ask a more expert researcher on this topic. But even if this is a copy, so to say, like Wagner really is totally into this adagio. This does not take any value away from this Tristan chord, but in contrary, it gives you a historical dialogue that goes on and on and on and on. So this is the most interesting thing. This is why I also composed 4 days ago a very short orchestral piece, where, of course, I quoted this Tristan motif, and again, absolutely another situation. So is this how it's called, copyright infringement? No, of course not. This is the beauty of the historical dialogue that we can have in music. Okay, so that's all. Give a like and subscribe, and leave some comments, and maybe I do a second part and observe other things. Okay, so ciao ciao, thanks very much.